The next segment that we're going to go in is some of the things that I found that you need to be very proactive with. And being proactive means you're going to take steps to do things before you necessarily need it. Because if you're reactive, the things that you need to do may not be in place for you to be able to save yourself. The first of which is the cough assist machine. Now this is a machine to help you clear your lungs. I woke up one morning several months ago, and when I woke up, my throat was filled with mucus. And when I stood up, it clogged my airway, and I couldn't breathe. And I couldn't get it up, and I couldn't get it down, and I literally could not breathe at all. And I thought it was the end, just from a simple thing like mucus. Eventually, I was able to clear that mucus plug and get rid of it. But I really thought it was the end. My ALS clinic at that time, I called them, and that afternoon they had a cough assist machine delivered to my door. At least once a day now, every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, depending on my condition. It's especially helpful if you get a cold. But my message too is that, and this goes to some of the healthcare providers, is that I recommend, and now my respiratory therapist recommends, that the respiratory assist device, the cough assist, and the suction machine all be delivered at the same time. The next proactive measure I see is getting yourself a feeding tube. You know, there are 2 different kinds of surgery. There's the PEG and the rig. Most of us at some point in time are going to lose our ability to swallow due to ALS. So you're going to need a feeding tube sometime during this disease. And it's a choice that you need to make, and you need to think about it quite seriously. It's really only a tool for us to find a means of getting food into our stomach when we can no longer do it through our mouth. When you lose the ability to swallow, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to die. It just means, hey, I can't get food in there that way anymore. We need an alternative method. So the feeding tube is a perfect tool for that. It's a very good example of the fire extinguisher. You want to get it far before you need it. Because when you do get to the point you need it, you want it to be there. I got mine pretty early on. I got roughly a year before I started using it. I underwent the surgery for that. Those of us with ALS that are losing our respiratory function, you need to get it prior to your forced vital capacity getting less than 50%. Most times they recommend surgery be performed that are necessary somewhere in the 75% to 50% window, so that there's plenty of time, because you don't want to go under general anesthesia when you're less than 50%. You may not be able to reactivate your breathing once you come out of it. So I also like to tell people that in spite of what you're told, they're going to say, 2 days, you'll be kicking around, you'll be fine. Well, maybe not. I found that many people find it's about a month of discomfort, but it's worth it. It's not real painful discomfort. It's just, they put a hole in your stomach and it's got to heal. That can be uncomfortable for several weeks. This is one area that I think pals should not fear the feeding tube. And that is the number one concern and obstacle for our feeding tube. We as a society have been conditioned to believe that a feeding tube is something that you only get at end of life. You may have had an aging parent that just before death they put in a feeding tube because they were no longer able to swallow. Or you may know someone that had a terminal disease and in the last throes so they put them on a feeding tube to give them some nourishment. Well, that's not what it's like for us. It is not, most definitely not, an end-of-life situation. Do I look like I'm the end of my life? I hope not. But I got the feeding tube because it's become more and more difficult to swallow. It's an alternative method of getting nourishment. And I got the feeding tube not for end of life. I got the feeding tube because I want to live. And I don't think that you should choose not to because you think it's an extreme measure. So don't say that's not me. And certainly don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate away the time until you can no longer have the tube employed. The last thing on the proactive that I wanted to talk to you about is physical therapy. When our muscles no longer are capable of working because of our motor neurons not being able to communicate, the muscles atrophy, and as they atrophy, both the muscles and the tendons will shrink due to lack of use. So you really want to keep those muscles flexible as much as possible and try to be able to keep the range of motion so that your caregiver can help you dress, and so that you don't curl up into a fetal position, so to speak. I do physical therapy several times a week. When I first started, we went 2 or 3 times a week to a physical therapist. Now we go about once a week to a physical therapist. But my wife, Cindy, will perform physical therapy on me during the off days. And she works with my hands, my fingers, my arms, all the muscles in my arms, my shoulder, my hamstrings, my calves, my feet, my toes, you name it, even my neck. And that enables all those areas to retain their pliability and the range of motion. I haven't used my hands in well, I can't remember how many months, maybe a year now, since I had any use of my hands. But if you look at my hands, they don't look too bad. They're not curled up. And you can get this condition called contraction, where the muscles and tendons shrink and your hands curl up. Well, that can be prevented. You see it in many patients, and it really can be prevented just by doing physical therapy. And I also use a glove that keeps my fingers from curling up at night while I'm in bed. So you gotta do it regularly, and you can't wait until too long, because there really is a point of no return where you can't get that motion back. Now, the serious topic, life decision. During the course of our disease, there are going to be times where you're going to have to make life decisions. Things like, do I do a tracheostomy or do I not? Do I get a feeding tube or do I not? Do I get a respiratory assisted device, a BiPAP, or do I not? There's many decisions that we have to make along the way. And some of them are decisions that we really need to understand better. So you need to educate yourself thoroughly before making that decision. Don't go by hearsay. Don't go by some preconceived idea in your head. Educate yourself. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your a clinic nurse or therapist. Talk to your care services coordinator at the ALS Association. Most of these things are not new, and if you talk to them, they're going to know some of the details to better understand. Talk to other people with ALS and their caregivers. They might be able to be a very good resource. You may need to go to your place of worship and talk to the clergy. And quite honestly, what better place than the internet? And many of these things, if you're a visual learner like I am, go to YouTube and watch some videos on the subject. See what it really is so you understand it. Then, once you understand and include your spouse or your caregiver in this education, but once you understand, discuss it with your family and your loved ones. And be open-minded, listen to their feelings and their concerns, and just be honest with them about your feelings and your concerns. And they might have things to say to you that you didn't consider. So listen to them as well. But in the end, the decision is yours and yours alone to make. And you want to have consensus, but sometimes that might not be achievable, and you have to make that difficult decision yourself. Lastly, no decision is final. And you might find that a decision that you make today might be different than a decision you would make a year from now. I also like to say, and I learned this from my neurologist at clinic just a few months ago, is that the decision that you make doesn't have to be a decision for all time. For instance, we were discussing the tracheostomy. My gut reaction is I don't want one. However, if you were to say to me today that something happened tomorrow, would you get a tracheostomy? I probably would say yes. Why? Because I still have a lot I want to do, and I have a good amount of physical capability left, and I'm not ready yet to die. So I would want to have that tracheostomy. Now let's fast forward a year from now, or 2 years from now, when you might ask me about, do I want a tracheostomy? And I might be in a hospital bed, not able to move a single muscle in my body, and basically confined and not able to do some of the things I most like to do. Now, my decision might be at that time, no, don't do it, it's time, I'm ready to go. So the message there is that your decision may change over time. So make a decision in your mind and framed with your loved ones for now, and talk about frequently if that decision changes. So that's all of my strategies that I have for you today. I hope you benefited from some of them.
Shall find the elegance of his design.